I'm Ed Painter. I'm here to talk about the ScaleTrains carbon black covered hopper cars.
Hey everybody, it's Drayton from ScaleTrains.com. I'm here today to chat with you about our all-new Rivet counter HO scale 4727 and 5750 carbon black covered hopper cars. Recently, I sat down with my good friend Ed Painter to chat with him about some of his favorite memories of shooting these cars back in the 1990s in South Carolina. I really enjoyed visiting with Ed, and he invited me to his home layout to see these cars in action. He actually has two of the modern cars on his layout right now, which you can actually see trackside today in 2020. Now, these cars are quite unique considering the fact that they are designed specifically to haul one commodity, and that's carbon black, a fine powdery substance similar to soot. And that's why these cars are painted in black. Carbon black is used to make rubber-related products. So if you've got a rubber facility on your layout, it can go all the way back to the early 1970s when these cars first came out. There's several different body styles. It's really cool to hear Ed's take on our carbon black hopper cars.
In the 1990s, I lived in the Clemson, South Carolina area and worked for Duke Energy. Michelin Corporation had a large tire plant over in Anderson, South Carolina. Southern or Norfolk Southern through freights would set off cars in Seneca, South Carolina, where the local would in turn take them from Seneca to Anderson and back from the tire production facility.
What about these cars really stood out to you back in the 90s? What made them unique?
Well, they were black. The lettering, the names of the industries that produced carbon black were unique, and you didn't see this on other cars.
Now, there were several different types of carbon black cars, but the Sid Richardson cars really kind of stood out. What about those cars in particular really spoke to you?
Well, the large lettering that was on them was sort of nice and very attractive. The cars had a square look, very nice looking cars.
A lot of these cars are still on the rails today, but in the 1990s, you shot a ton of trains. What was it like seeing these freight trains roll down the main line going really fast by your house?
Well, it was quite interesting. It was really, obviously that's why I lived there. It was just a great place to live, and you saw a little bit of everything on these trains back then. And carbon black cars were a part of that on a regular basis.
Now, when it comes to ScaleTrains, you own several ScaleTrains locomotives and freight cars, but these carbon black cars that you have here, what makes them so special to you to finally have a model of them in HO scale?
Well, it's something I didn't have. They're different than anything else I have on the railroad. Other covered hopper cars, grain, plastic pellets, various things like that are just totally different looking. These are unique, and the fact that I saw these as much as I did in the 1990s make it nice to have on my railroad.
What about ScaleTrains sets them apart from other companies in the industry?
I think the quality, the attention to detail, the absolute desire to have things being as prototypically correct as absolutely possible. I think there's nobody in the industry that does a finer job at meeting the need of absolute prototypical correctness with their models.
Ed, you also recently got a Chessie SD40-2, something you've really wanted for a long time. You took it out of the box tonight. It's the first time you've had a chance to run it. How are you impressed with it so far?
It ran beautifully. Everything, the functions, everything were really great. Pretty locomotive. The loc sound decoder and the whole, it's just a great locomotive in general.
Ed, do you have any advice for someone wanting to get into the hobby, and why should they look into ScaleTrains?
I think ScaleTrains produces the best models of anybody in the hobby. Their quality, again, I go back to the whole thing. The attention to detail, the absolute desire to produce prototypically correct models. It's just they do a great job with this. Their mission is to produce good models, and they do it.
Well, Ed, thanks so much for having us out here tonight. We really appreciate it. Let's go run some trains.
Sounds like a good deal. Get that Chessie System SD40-2 moving again.
Well, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't done it yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content like this. It was really great being able to hear Ed's stories and his favorite memories of shooting these cars back in the 1990s. We're going to be doing all sorts of creative content this spring, so check us out and make sure to subscribe. Until next time, happy railroading from all of us at ScaleTrains.com.